This is Binghamton Now on News Radio 1290 WNBF Binghamton and WNBF.com.
I'm Bob Joseph. This is Binghamton Now for Monday, August 5th, 2024. Program is live, it's local, and it's open to all. How do you participate? Simply call. Here's the number, 607-772-1290. Give us a call at Binghamton Now. WNBF. Starting off another big week here at News Radio WNBF. Welcome to our broadcast experience live from the talk deck, the nicest virtual talk deck in American radio. Close your eyes and imagine a talk deck so beautiful that even the syndicated hosts find themselves wishing they could originate in Binghamton, New York. Let's get right to the phones as we start our busy broadcast week. Good morning. You're caller number one. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, it's Airport Road Bob.
Morning.
Hey, good morning to you. Hope you had a great weekend.
Fantastic.
So tomorrow is the big meeting, a big open house at the Johnson City High School by the IDA. I wanted to call early because I'm still looking for that professional, accurate information from Mr. Matthew Ryan. Need some expert advice. We plan on having people there all day long from 8 to 7. As it stands now, we've been told that we will have to be on the street down on Reynolds Road, that there was no way that we could be on the Johnson City campus and just pass out flyers. So was hoping somebody could call in and give us some real facts, if that's true or not true, and if we're just being bullied, and we want to just get the facts out to the people. There'll be signs. Believe there's some flyers that people are going to be handing out. But we'll also have the news crews there at 6 o'clock for live updates. I'm hoping Bob Joseph can stop by and take some photos and put something on his website.
Maybe Geraldo will stop by.
God, if you got his phone number, give him a call for me, will you, Bob?
Geraldo could make a special trip out of retirement in the Cleveland suburbs, and he could show up. He could show up in Johnson City. So clarify here for those who are not regular listeners to the program, what is the issue about the flyers? Because there is the special presentation that'll take place tomorrow night at Johnson City High School about the project that would be partially in the town of Maine and partially in the town of Union. So explain what's going on, why you're concerned about your ability to distribute flyers.
Well, I was called and told by the Johnson City Police Department that we would not be able to, stand on the property and just hand out a flyer, not engaging people and trying to assault them or anything, or having 50 people walking around with signs. We wanted to have, 2, maybe 3 people just standing in the parking lot or standing outside and passing out an informational flyer to the people who may be going in for the presentation. The presentation is going on from 8 in the morning till 7 at night. We're going to try and promote people being there all day long. Obviously now on the street, as we've been told, we can't be on the campus, which I don't understand. The other reason I called earlier is I got to believe that Miss Duncan will be calling you today or tomorrow promoting this public meeting, and maybe you can ask her why we can't give out flyers on the campus, because I'm sure I'm sure it comes down from the IDA that they don't want any conflict of interest.
Well, Stacy Duncan will be on the program this morning, and that will be one of the questions I'll ask.
Bob, you always ask the hard questions for the real man in the field.
Well, we're here. We're on the side of every citizen of our region. I mean, we call it Binghamton now, but it's Binghamton and beyond. So we're just trying to get information out, and especially when questions are raised, we do our best to get accurate answers.
Well, that's all we're trying to do is put out accurate information. We've been honest and straightforward. We've backed up all of our accusations with foiled paperwork. And I give credit to you for putting me in my place a couple of years ago and telling me that, don't talk about something unless you can prove it. And Bob, you were the emphasis for making that happen. So we have plenty of paperwork, lots of foil paperwork from Broome County, Town of Maine, Town of Union, from New York State that just shows there's been no transparency. I mean, they say they have no maps. I have maps. I have maps from 5 years ago, and yet Stacy and the IDA continue to profess on their website and videos that there are no site plans and there are no maps, and just trying to show the corruption as it is. I mean, that's the best word I can use for it. It's just crazy, Bob. It's really crazy.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens. And as always, keep me posted. If you see something, say something.
I will. And I'm actually hoping Mr. John from Binghamton will show up tomorrow also, or maybe he has some advice for me today when he calls in. But people locally, please start to get involved with your local politics. It's going to be a very, very important election year, and everyone should get out and vote.
All right. Thank you, Bob. Airport Road Bob in the town of Maine. As we start off our broadcast week here, I think it's going to be just so busy. I know some people say, but Bob, it doesn't get busy in August. Well, there have been exceptions. We could see some big exceptions this year. That's my gut feeling. So it's already August 5th. Where has the month gone? Good morning, you're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Tom from Enwell. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Morning. Good. I don't know a whole lot about what that guy's talking about it, but if they're trying to shut him down, he's on to something. That's just the way it goes, But
you sound skeptical. You sound skeptical of those in power.
I'm just saying, whenever you got something going on, just like any real news reporter, if he's on to something big, he usually winds up not breathing anymore. That's just how it is,
Well, one thing I know, because sometimes I've reported stories around here, I go out to what I think might be a story or see something that looks potentially newsworthy, and not every time, but a high percentage of times, I'd say more than 75% of the time, if somebody assures me that this isn't newsworthy or they don't think this is a story, then I know there's a story there. I know when they give me that guidance, I know they don't want a story. Some people are blunt. There's one person in particular who's been telling me over the last, I think, month and a half or 2 months, we don't want a story. Well, coming soon, they're going to get a story whether they cooperate or not. I mean, what I encourage people to do, if you're contacted by a reporter, or if you notice a reporter is interested in something you're doing, probably the best bit of advice, unless you're committing felonies, the best bit of advice is to have a conversation with the reporter so your part of the story can be accurately portrayed. Because if you choose, as this one person is choosing to continually say there's no story, we don't want a story now, and I'm thinking, well, that's not your business. My business is reporting the news. I'll decide when we'll have a story. Some of these people want stories, but only on their own schedule. And that's really not how it works.
Right, and they only want out what they want out.
Sure. What they want is to put out a news release, and they want me, Bob Joseph, to take the news release and do something called cut and paste, which I'm not going to do.
Right.
That's not news reporting. And I'm saying sometimes, of necessity, sometimes some news organizations, because they don't have reporters or don't have enough reporters, are forced to do that. That's, the sad reality of the journalism industry in America today is nobody has enough reporters. So that's what this one person, I think, is counting on, because I'm just a single reporter, that eventually I'll just forget about doing a story. Well, I doubt I'm going to forget about it. So,
right.
Trust me, if it was a really urgent story, it would have been reported by now. It's not something urgent, but it's certainly important to the community. And in the end, it would be in that person's best interest to start answering questions so the story will be complete and accurate. But you don't have to. It's a free country. If you want to attempt to dissuade reporters from doing their necessary business, I guess. Oh. Thank you, Tom. It's 9:22, News Radio, WNBF. Especially if you've basically made some sort of generic invitation. If you ever want information about what we're doing, just contact me. And so you instantly contact the person, and then suddenly I think I'll ignore the questions, and then maybe there won't be a story. Well, if you stonewall long enough, it's possible there won't be a story, but I'm inclined to believe there'll be a nice story coming out soon. 607-772-1290. By the way, if you have news tips are always interesting to me. Send your news tip to Bob at WNBF.com. Yes, we keep our sources' names out of it. Unless you say in your email, Bob, I know something and I don't care if everybody finds out that I am your source. In fact, I'll go on the record. If you want to do that, obviously that's preferred. If you have news information and you're willing to go on the record, that gives the story more oomph, more credibility. But if you have news information, and for obvious reasons, trust me, there are a lot of good reasons why people want to remain anonymous, just say so in your email. Preferably, give me your name and phone number so I could actually follow up. I have to admit, it's very difficult to do much with a completely anonymous tip and someone who says, yeah, I'm scared, so I can't even give you my name. So sometimes if I can't follow up, if I can't call a person with some information and get pointed in the right direction, sometimes stories just don't gain any traction. It's Bob Joseph with you. Good morning. We're at 92.1 FM, 1290 AM, streaming at WNBF.com. You're listening to Binghamton Now. Monday morning, still kind of steamy. Be cooler later this week, but it still will be humid. Here's the guidance from the National Weather Service. Scattered severe thunderstorms are possible this afternoon through early evening as a cold front pushes through the region. Damaging winds and large hail are the main threats from this system. Also, scattered showers and thunderstorms are in the forecast for tomorrow night into Wednesday. They may produce heavy downpours and localized flash flooding. So Just keep that in mind and pay attention to changing weather conditions. Here's the complete forecast. Mostly sunny today with a chance of showers and thunderstorms late in the day. The high 88. Mostly cloudy tonight with a chance of showers and thunderstorms. Low 64. Then tomorrow, mostly cloudy. A slight chance of showers in the morning. Maybe a few showers in the afternoon. High 77. The outlook for Wednesday. Mostly sunny with a chance of showers early in the day. The high 77 right now in downtown Binghamton. It's 71. That's 22 Celsius here at News Radio WNBF. The air quality is not good. It's moderate. So if you can avoid breathing when you're outside, that would probably be Dr. Bob's advice. If you're unusually sensitive to particle pollution, consider reducing your activity level or shorten up the amount of time you're active outdoors. Air quality index is 62. Oh, well, summer. Oh, well. We're not getting any Canadian wildfire smoke yet, so it's probably coming up later this month. It's 9:29 at WNBF. We're live and local. The information you need every weekday morning right here on Binghamton Now. Binghamton Now on News Radio, WNBF and WNBF.com. We have a lot of information for you, and we'll be taking more phone calls coming up on this Monday morning, so stay tuned. Joining us now in the studio is Stacey Duncan, CEO of the Leadership Alliance, the strategic partnership between the Broome County Industrial Development Agency and Local Development Corporation and the Greater Binghamton Chamber of Commerce.
Good morning. That's a mouthful.
I know.
Good morning.
That's why I have it on the screen in front of me.
Exactly. Very good.
Anyway, I appreciate your coming in.
My pleasure.
Tomorrow is a big day. As many of our listeners have been discussing, there is going to be a preview event for the Broome Tech Park going on at Johnson City High School. I trust most of our listeners are at least somewhat familiar with the project, but in case people haven't been paying close attention, give us sort of an overview and a little background. When did it all start, and how did we get to where we are now in early August 2024?
Sure. Well, it was a few years ago, probably 2021, when we started, as we were actually slowly climbing out of the pandemic. What happened at a time we thought a lot of development would slow, it actually kind of was the exact opposite. There was a lot more interest in onshoring manufacturing, a lot more interest in bringing supply chain back to the U.S. as we learned a very hard lesson, I think, during the pandemic about not having that in a domestic in our nation. And so there was also a significant amount of investment by New York State in areas like electronics manufacturing, energy storage, life sciences, agricultural processes. So what we saw was a lot of inquiries coming to us that we actually, quite frankly, were deficient with sites. We didn't have the right sites. We didn't have enough land. We didn't have enough, acreage or a power capabilities. So we started to do a deep dive into where could our next large development park be. We did about a year-long scan of areas, just where we could assemble. A lot of the parks like this, you want contiguous land. If you think of the Broome Corporate Park in the town of Conklin, that's about a 600-acre park that is about nearly occupied. We only have a few small parcels that could accommodate one small user, but nothing that could accommodate multiple businesses in one location. And there's a great benefit to co-locating maybe a manufacturer with a research and development company, or maybe a workforce training facility next to a manufacturer. So, we landed in this area that spans the town of Maine and the town of Union, that is roughly a little over 500 acres. And we have built out right now a proposal for the Broome Tech Park, which would be a large development site that could support the growth of existing companies here in our community. It could attract new companies that want to be potentially co-located with other companies. They may want to be near Binghamton University for research assets. So we began this process of looking at this land. We are about, I would say, 85% complete with acquisition. We are continuing to engage with a few additional landowners, some of whom have said, I want to see what it is you're trying to build before I make that, decision, which I fully respect. And tomorrow is the opportunity for the community to come in and really take a look at what our vision is. We're going to outline very high-level design concepts. We don't have buildings yet planned. We're still in that phase of looking at how much we could accommodate. We will have ideas for amenities. These new parks are not what you think. They have walking trails, biking trails. Some have public art spaces, community garden spaces. What does the community want to see if we were to, in fact, build this tech park?
So what types of businesses would be sought? Would there be anything that would involve manufacturing, light manufacturing, or something more ambitious in terms of fabricating things actually at this tech park?
Yeah, one thing we know we are not really interested in locating there would be heavy logistics distribution, because we don't feel that the road infrastructure is supportive of that. So, unlike what you see in Conklin, where it's right at exit 1, right on the highway, that really works well for distribution and logistics. We are going to be seeking more of high value manufacturing. So we are very interested in being part of the supply chain for companies like Micron, which isn't that far away. There are a lot of companies that are in the supply chain for energy storage, for batteries. They make the widgets, the cables, the connectors that go into these systems. We think this could be a prime supply chain type of location. But we're also interested in looking at research and development facilities that want to connect to Binghamton University. We're interested in potentially locating workforce training on site and partnering with our area school districts. So really, I say right now it is somewhat a blank canvas. We have targeted industry sectors, mostly manufacturing. That could also include agricultural. That could also include life sciences and R&D.
Cannabis?
Potentially. And I think it's important to note that our goal is to create the park, create the climate, prepare the land for the development of and to bring businesses in. Ultimately, like any other location in Broome County, if a company wants to come in, they go to the municipalities for those approval. The municipalities do all the site plan approval of the company themselves. We're looking to build out the land, to make it ready, to make it shovel ready so a company can come in and look to build. So we have no approval authority over who ultimately comes into the park. That remains with the municipalities.
So percentage-wise, about what percent of the 500-plus acres lie in the town of Maine, and what percent would be in the town of Union? It leans towards the town of Maine has more of that land mass than the town of Union. So we're looking at, but approvals would be needed in both towns. So, this will require a zoning change. We have not determined what that zoning would be. It will be based highly on what kind of uses we land on for this park. That is still a very important piece of this process. We're a ways away from any formal design site plan applications. We're planning right now to do a complete generic environmental impact study. So what that means is we're looking at all areas of development and what that potential impact would be. That would include environmental, traffic impact, visual safety, everything you could probably think of that could impact this development. We will be taking a look at with our project team essentially through the course of the next year. So we are intentionally doing this slowly, diligently, but we do feel it's very, very vital to have the community, and I say community as far as both the towns are key stakeholders, but also this will have far-reaching impacts, what we believe to be positive impacts for Broome County residents as well. So if one of the towns does not approve the final plan, that would block it? That would keep it from going forward?
The towns ultimately have that role of any zoning change approval, and we recognize that and respect that. We are confident that in the next year we will build a narrative that will make them, be proud of what we'd like to build, because we think it's going to build positive economic opportunity for the towns. It's going to bring new tax revenue. It's going to bring new job creation, job opportunities for the next generation of manufacturing that'll keep our students here in the community. And we're confident that we will get there.
You mentioned that land acquisition at this point is about 85% complete. So of the remaining 15% or so, do you anticipate that eminent domain may have to be employed, or at least acquisition, say, of the final parcels, those that haven't been acquired up to now?
Right. I think it's important to note that we have had very productive conversations with all of the land that we've had under contract and option currently. They have been very productive conversations. Eminent domain is a tool of last resort. It is not the goal of this project. We believe that when people start to learn what it is we want to build, that we will continue to have productive conversations with all of the landowners. We have made no overtures at eminent domain at this point in time, and I am confident that with productive conversations with the community, including the towns, we will have a project that we will all be proud of.
Ultimately, if it comes to eminent domain, that tends to be a time-consuming and costly process, too.
Exactly. It is, as I mentioned, it has never been the goal. It is a tool that the IDA has. I consider it a tool of the very last resort. We are still interested in engaging with landowners, and I respect those that say, I don't know what it is yet you're trying to build, so we want to show them what it is we're trying to build, and we think it will be something they'll be proud of for their community.
And as you know, there are some people who've been outspoken in their opposition, including people who call this program on a regular basis. And if you travel up Airport Road, you can see signage from people who clearly are opposed to the project. So for the people who have expressed opposition up to this point for various reasons, if they've lived there for a long time or whatever, most people don't really embrace change of especially big changes. So what can you say to them? Most likely they're not going to change their position, but what is your response to those who are very strongly opposed to the project?
Sure. Listen, I respect those that have concerns. I respect those that have questions. We are very early in this process, and it is our goal to answer those questions. I think there is some misinformation about how this is planning to be built, about road systems we plan to use. I think there's significant misinformation about the use of eminent domain. So what I would encourage is those that have questions, that want to learn more, to come respectfully to our open house tomorrow. We will have not just our staff, but we will have multiple members of our project team that will be happy to discuss and answer questions. Again, I would caution we are very early in this process, so the more those individuals could become engaged with us, we think it's a far more productive outcome than currently. So, again, I encourage those to come in, to ask questions in a respectful manner, and let's have dialogue over the next year. Let's continue to workshop this and build something that our community broadly will be proud of. I mean, we look at this as a project that will support our economy for the next decades, a project that our kids will be employed at, that potentially their kids could be employed at. We do not have anything like this currently, so we need to be thinking very long term, and I get that the change is can be scary and can be challenging, but that's why I think it's so vitally important we build this collectively and have our disagreements and talk them out.
Is it safe to say some people in the area have come away with the impression that if they don't sell the land that is wanted for this project, that it's going to be taken from them?
I think that has been a narrative that has been out there. Again, I think that it's fair for those to say, I want to see what it is you want to build before I would make any decisions. So, we're hopeful we can have productive conversations, and when they see this, they'll recognize that they can be part of something that will support this community. So it's an unfortunate narrative and an incorrect narrative that's been out there.
One question that's been brought up in recent days on the program, at least one opponent, and perhaps some others, want the ability to distribute flyers tomorrow while this is going on. Will they be permitted to do so? And at the high school auditorium where the open house event is being held tomorrow from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Sure. So my understanding is all of the rules associated with people coming to the open house will adhere to the school district's rules on any sort of public engagement. So I don't believe, my understanding is I don't believe they will be able, per school policy, to distribute flyers. However, they are welcome to attend, to come in, to ask questions, to discuss the project and the concept with the project team. But again, we are adhering to any rules, policies, procedures that the school district adheres to.
Would you ask the school superintendent to make an exception in this case? Because this is a highly unusual proceeding, a meeting for one of the biggest economic development projects in recent memory in Broome County. Would you be inclined to request a waiver of that if people just handed out leaflets or flyers expressing their opinion and didn't disrupt the open house event?
Honestly, Bob, I would say no, I wouldn't make that request. Do I think they should be there and be able to talk and answer and ask questions and be there to talk to other attendees? Absolutely. This is our first public in-person public engagement, and I do think that it's reasonable for us to host an open house where we provide our information to people and let people ask questions and let people come to decisions on their own on this. That being said, I would respect anybody's right to come in and to respectfully ask us questions, to challenge us in a respectful manner. That would be absolutely fine with us, and we encourage that.
And if people persist in trying to give out flyers at the venue in the auditorium, I'm under the impression then they're going to be asked to leave.
Again, we're adhering to all school policy on this.
Anything that you wanted to add?
No, just we're excited to outline the vision. We do hope people will come tomorrow and ask questions and come in with a very open mind. And we are making ourselves available all day. And this is the first of many continued public forums. And again, we really would love to have the community be part of building this with us.
And I expect you'll be back here talking about this project and other projects in Broome County.
Absolutely, would love to.
Stacey Duncan of the Leadership Alliance. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
It's 9:48 at News Radio WNBF. Binghamton Now continuing at 9:52 with more calls more often. 607-772-1290. Vic from the Forks, you're on the air.
Vic from the Forks here. How you doing, Bob?
Good. What's up?
Hey, I was listening to the lady, and I heard your question about being able to pass out flyers on school property. Well, these people can pass out flyers. They can't do it on school property, but they can stand on the entrance driveway on the sidewalk, as that's public property, and pass them out there.
Right, and I think Bob from the town of Maine has indicated he understands he can do that. My belief is that he would like the opportunity to be in the auditorium while the event is going on tomorrow and have the opportunity to hand out flyers. But it sounds as though because of school district regulations, that's not going to be permitted.
Well, he can change the name from flyers to information pamphlets. It's just like when you get a building code. They told me I couldn't build my house on my property up here because I didn't have a well or septic. So I called it an enclosed pavilion, and I got the permit. And there's always ways around things. Now, the lady did say that she hopes people come and talk and stands up and voices their opinion. So, Bob, I think you said his name, wants to pass out the flyers.
Yes.
He can stand up and can say his piece, and then he can turn around and face the audience with a handful of the pamphlets and say, I have some information pamphlets here if anybody would like one. I'll be at the door as you exit. And you can get them out that way. Just don't call them flyers, call them informational pamphlets, because it's an educational system and education is allowed.
Yeah, I would think the school district would want its students and parents and residents to be completely educated. I don't know. I haven't spoken with the Johnson City school superintendent, so I don't know what the superintendent's position is, or with members of the Board of Education. But you know, they ultimately they could set the policy. The Board of Education sets the policy. So if the Board of Education wanted to do a Zoom meeting today, just to like informally check with its members, what do you think should, even though the policy says maybe this activity shouldn't be allowed, if they could allow it, but who knows? You know, it's the United States of America, so you can never, when it comes to the First Amendment, you can never be sure how it's going to be handled.
The most important question of the night, I think, should be is why doesn't this company want the flyers handed out? She blatantly said that she would not ask the board to change the rules, so you gotta ask, what are they afraid of?
Well,
what are they afraid of?
Maybe they just, maybe tomorrow they want the focus, although obviously it's not going to be the exclusive focus, but they may want the focus to be on just the general attributes of the project. And let's face it, I mean, the way the news works around here, not just around here, the way the news works, whether it's TV, radio, online, or the newspaper, there's only so much time or space you can give a story. So tomorrow, most likely, the story is going to focus on the basic facts of the proposed project. Anything else, such as those who are opposed, probably would be addressed in coming days. Because and it's not so much because reporters can't handle putting in lots of information into stories. One of the things that I encountered many times, or sometimes, with certain stories that I put on our website, too many people start to offer opinions too long, didn't read. And by the way, even my longest stories aren't really that long. And on the internet, if I wanted, I could put really long stories. There's no word limit to how many, or to, the information I could include in a story. But I'll be darned if I'm going to spend a lot of time on a single story focusing on many, or including many aspects of a complicated story, and then getting feedback from a high percentage of people that was just too long. Because these days, people seem to have the attention span of a mosquito.
Who, when, what, why, and where?
Well, and the thing is, and what also annoys people, especially those who aren't familiar with how the news business needs to work now, some people get really annoyed when they see a story. I say, oh, you only told part of the story. You didn't tell the whole thing. Well, we can't, because most of the people aren't even going to read the whole thing. Actually, one of the worst things that is happening now, because people are getting so much of their information online, is they get their information from a headline. So they try to think they're fully informed, whether it's about the tech park or anything else, based on a 6 or 8 word headline. And it's, I mean, you can't, as you know, Vic, since you follow issues, including some that are very controversial and very complicated, you can't get a full understanding. For example, over the last decade, if people only got their information about the fracking issue based on headlines, they'd be clueless.
Well, that's basically what happened.
Well,
Bob. They got it. They got it from.
Well, and the thing is, you can't force news down someone's throat. I can only, for example, my part is I can only do the best I can to put stories on our radio station and on our website. Obviously, on air, our stories can't be very long because of time constraints, and that's true on TV, or even true with newspapers. Look at the story length in a typical newspaper story. When they finally do get around to reporting on a local issue, look at how much space typically is devoted to some complex issues. It's rare that they do special reports or multi-part series as they used to. Now, if they get around to doing a story about something interesting to people in the Binghamton area, they still don't allot a whole lot of space. And I think they're proud of it because they're using this USA Today philosophy. I can't remember the catchphrase, but it's something like, the upshot is we keep our stories short because we know you don't have time to read them. Something like that. We know you want some information, but we also know you don't want to invest much time, so we keep our stories short. Well, then inevitably, a lot of key details are missing from newspaper stories that used to be there.
You're 100% right, and it has more effects on more things than I think even you realize.
I know. I could continue talking more about this, but the news is coming up. Appreciate your call. Hope you have a great day.
Hey, keep me out of the news. I hope you have a good day, too.
Okay. And that is the story from the Forks making contemporary news. Our Monday morning program is just underway, and it will continue right here on WNBF. Binghamton Now continues at 10:10 on a Monday morning. Let's take calls at 607-772-1290. Good morning. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
I'm from Mendwell. Bob, I don't know what happened. You were talking and everything went silent.
All right. Continue.
And I thought you hung up on me. And then a couple minutes, 30 seconds, 40 seconds later, you came back on the radio. But I was talking to you through my truck and everything went silent. And I was like, what's going on?
It's like a nightmare scenario. It's like out of a David Lynch movie.
Yeah.
The scene that where fire, talk with me, that one. So continue.
Yeah. What I wanted to talk about is the Trump assassination attempt. I wanted to let things play out because I knew they were going to bring everything into Congress and, they were going to, start asking the Secret Service and the FBI questions and stuff. So I've been trying to pay very close attention to what's being said and what's not being said. It's hard, very hard for anybody with a brain to not think of some type of, if you want to use the word conspiracy or whatever, but it looks and smells like a planned assassination that went wrong, that didn't go through. Days go by, they're not answering questions.
In other words, exactly as you would expect. Why would you think this case of all cases would be different?
Because it has everything to do with Trump.
No. Look, any case, I don't care what type of case you're talking about, any high-profile criminal investigation, the information comes out in drips and drabs. And a lot of the most important questions don't get answered in the first days, weeks, or months. It's always that way.
Something this big, the head lady, they denied Trump extra Secret Service. Then they said, oh, no, we didn't deny him. And then we find out days later, the only information we got from the girl that resigned was, yes, they did deny him that. The thing is because anything that makes the Democrats look or smell bad, stonewall, just like the cocaine in the White House. Things just don't add up. And it's hard for people like me to believe, like, the whole January 6th is what it is, but it takes the Republican to release the videos.
Don't bring that back up, because again, that's a blight on Congress, and the fact that one member of Congress decided to release all the video to a specific news organization, or no, it wasn't even a specific news organization, to a specific guy, that alone ought to be investigated. That should have been, I consider that to be criminal in nature.
Regardless of the fact if it was and is exactly the way the Democrats portrayed it throughout all the courts, they would have released the videos themselves.
My point is, that Republican operative, to have given all that video only to a very favored person who they knew had a specific narrative in mind, hey, that shows you that is all you need to know about the integrity of that member of Congress. Because if he cared about the truth coming out, he would have released all the video. Actually, he would have put it online and given everyone the link, you, me, that special, not journalist, that specialized entertainer, and everyone else could have seen it simultaneously. But no, he decided for his own political motives that he would grant exclusive access to that video to the one person. One person out of 8 billion people on the planet was granted exclusive access to the video. So there was a political motive. It's shameful.
Well, the Democrats had those videos for...
I know. I'm not exonerating the Democrats. They also should have released the video to everyone. All media outlets and everybody on the planet should have had access to the video. But just because one Republican finally released it to a select person for, we know what that guy's worldview is, and so it served this congressman's interest to release the video only to that one guy. It shows you his motives were not pure.
Bob, you keep saying that one guy. I can go back with story after story.
All right. I am tired of this particular topic. You brought it up, and it needed to be addressed because that was a shameful example of a member of Congress specifically releasing information to one person inexplicably, inexcusably.
The Democrats are doing the same thing when they're running the courts.
Hey, 1,000 wrongs don't make a right.
But it's always wrong when the Republicans do it.
It's always wrong when the government withholds information. Let's say that. It's always wrong unless there's a good excuse. So apparently there wasn't a good excuse because they didn't do anything to that member of Congress for releasing all the video to his special friend.
But you keep saying that. You should be saying the Democrats should have released it.
You don't have to tell me what I should be saying. I know what I should be saying. All evidence about high-profile crimes, including the stuff from the insurrection, January 6, 2021, it ought to be released. It ought to be released by Democrats, Republicans, independents. All agencies ought to release all video, audio, and other evidence they have to the American people, and not just to one guy.
Well, those videos should have been released way before.
Again, you're missing the point. The big point is that one member of Congress took it upon himself to give the video that had up to that point been withheld from all news organizations and all Americans, except those in law enforcement and members of Congress, and then he decided he would give it to his special friend. You know it was wrong. I know it was wrong. He knows it was wrong. Even the guy who got the exclusive video dump knows it was wrong.
That was because they wanted the truth to get out.
Yeah, I know why. I'm not oblivious. You know, I do pay attention to the news.
Oh, only me.
All right. Thanks. Appreciate the Additional information, 1019 at WNBF, 607-772-1290. Yeah, if a member of Congress takes it upon himself or herself to start releasing important information about a stunning, disturbing event and only releases it to one person, you need to ask a really important question about motivation. Clearly, that person's motivation was not pure. Yes, he wanted to get a story out, and that's why he allowed a particular person exclusive access to all those hours of video that up to that point had been withheld by other authorities. I'm not justifying anyone who withheld the video of January 6th up to that point. I'm saying if this was a person who cared about America and cared about the truth coming out, he would have released all that video to everyone at the same time. And then everyone, his little special friend, as well as journalists, and then you and me could take a look at the video for ourselves, and everyone would be able to make their own judgment and not have to have it filtered through a special friend. It's 10:20. This is Bob Joseph, serving the American people. 607-772-1290. We're live on the air at 92.1 FM, 1290 AM, streaming at WNBF.com. This is Binghamton Now. Another lovely day in the neighborhood at 10:22. Looks like it's going to be a potentially wet and wild week with heavy rain expected in some places at some time. So if you're a person who doesn't appreciate heavy rain, join the crowd. I'm one of those people. I really don't like heavy rain. I am so tired of the heavy rain, but it doesn't make any difference. It's still going to happen this week, whether we like it or not. So we'll try to keep you at least informed of what the forecasters are saying. Here's the latest guidance from the National Weather Service. Scattered severe thunderstorms are possible this afternoon through early evening as a cold front pushes through the region. Damaging winds and large hail are the main threats from this system. Then scattered showers and thunderstorms tomorrow night and Wednesday may produce heavy downpours and localized flash flooding. Right now in downtown Binghamton, 77. That's 25 Celsius at WNBF. It's 10:24. Good morning. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
It's John from Binghamton to the IDA or whoever. Oh, no, it was the Leadership Alliance. Perhaps Stacey Duncan could have talked about her roles between the Leadership Alliance, the Chamber of Commerce, and the IDA. But go ahead and make my day. The ACLU uses the term flyers at school in their handouts. And I would gladly hand out anything. Any school policy doesn't trump the United States Constitution. So for her even to allude that it is school policy that you can't put flyers out there when they're renting, they're essentially renting the auditorium for this. It's not going to wash, you know. And I don't think any law enforcement official would be so stupid because they can be involved in arresting anybody that's handing out a flyer.
Yeah, if I was running a law enforcement agency, I wouldn't want to get myself in the middle of a First Amendment case like that. At a minimum, it could be embarrassing, but even worse, it could be extremely costly.
Well, and if you do something like that, you're risking losing your immunity, your qualified immunity, or whatever they call it. But
yeah, that ought to be a consideration.
Yeah, let me give you a little bombshell here, Bob, of something I'm working on. I was going to save it, but since Stacey Duncan was on the program, I'll do it now. works for the Chamber of Commerce, the Greater Binghamton Chamber of Commerce. This is according to the tax returns of the Greater Binghamton Chamber of Commerce. Those tax returns signed say that she works 40 hours a week at the Chamber of Commerce, for which she's paid $86,000. Now, when you look at her contract with the IDA, which she is receiving $160,000 per year plus $5,000 car allowance, it clearly states in her employment agreement that she's not supposed to be working anywhere else unless the contract's amended. Now, they have delayed my FOIL request to see if there's any amendments to that contract that were made. I don't think there was. But the point is this: how can someone work for 40 hours a week for the Chamber of Commerce? What time do they have left to work for the IDA? And this is also complicated by the fact that the IDA is the landlord for the Greater Binghamton Chamber. So how actually does she do that? Does she go down the hall or downstairs and work for the Chamber of Commerce? Does she use her her IDA computer to do work for the Chamber? What the heck is going on? I mean, you tell me this. You're listed in a 990 filing by the Greater Binghamton Chamber of Commerce as the only paid employee on the board of directors of that, at $86,000, and it clearly states the time worked 40 hours a week. That tax return is signed. Everybody knows the power of the signature on a tax return. So then you go to the IDA contract, and it says she won't have any other job. So Mrs. Duncan, whatever her name is, needs to explain this, and the Broome County IDA board needs to call an emergency meeting because somebody, I mean, either she's defrauding the Chamber of Commerce, she's not working for 40 hours a week, or she's in violation of her IDA contract, or both.
All right. Well, keep me posted. Thank you, John from Binghamton. I'm just looking through the Johnson City School District policies. This is not a really good time to be looking through the policies regarding the use of their place. Remember, school facilities, believe it or not, are public property. So it's not as though it's the WNBF auditorium, so I could come up with regulations for your event. So this is public property paid for by taxpayers like you and me. So I'm looking through regulations for organizations using district facilities. We'll say this, there certainly are a lot of regulations. Yes, there are. Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, Cub Scouts, Brownies, and similar organizations may have free use of the school buildings for regular meetings. I'm just picking a random thing. Doesn't say anything about the after school. Whatever that after school group was. The after school radio club. Well, an accident resulting in injury to any person or damage to any property must be immediately reported to the school official in charge and to the superintendent or designee. I don't see. I'm sure there's something here. It's such a long policy. School district policies used to be short. I think, well, I don't know. Maybe they weren't. Probably were never short. It's just now we do have access to these policies online. It's 10:30, WNBF Binghamton. Good morning. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
This is Matthew Tiberius Ryan.
Yes, as seen in Wikipedia's.
Right. It's Matthew Thomas, right? But anyway, on the issue of the January 6th tapes, I just don't get it. The Republicans, yes, they didn't participate in the hearing, but the House is the one that had all these tapes, got all the tapes, and asked all these tapes. And the House, which is run by Republicans, has the right to release them. So what did they do back when McCarthy was in there? He gave them to Putin's buddy there, Tucker Carlson, and he decided to release a small portion of them that fit his narrative and the narrative of a lot of people who want to make it sound like nothing happened that day. It was like tourists going through the Capitol. So then Mike Johnson, when he becomes Speaker, says he's going to release them all, yet he decides to blur faces so that people can't, whom somebody might identify once all the tapes are released and say, oh, I know that person. How come they're not being prosecuted for what they've done? Decides to blur the faces to protect the potential guilty. And then he changes his mind on that. But the reality is it's the Republicans that are controlling these tapes. This has nothing to do with the Democrats. They're the ones that can give them out completely or not. And now they are releasing them. But, I don't know what stage they're at. But.
Yeah, well, at this stage, after so much time has elapsed, maybe it's a moot point. They, when I say they, that guy in Congress turned over, it says, 41,000 hours of security video to Tucker Carlson. And again, there's absolutely, positively no excuse for Kevin McCarthy to give out 41,000 hours of security video just to one person.
Oh, I agree with that totally. But think about it. If he gave all that tape, and Tucker Carlson could have released the whole thing. And since he was given it, so...
Exactly. And here's an AP story based on Mr. Carlson's reporting. That's what I'll call it. The headline on the AP story afterwards, after Tucker Carlson used some of the video, not much, says Tucker Carlson amplifies January 6th lies with GOP-provided video. So that's exactly what Kevin McCarthy was hoping for.
Yeah, exactly. And so my point is the guy that calls in and always complaining about, we should get it. This was totally on the Republicans. They could have, now they're kind of coming around. Like you said, maybe it's too late, but they could have released this stuff whenever they wanted to, and they didn't. So, and it wasn't the Democrats; it was the Republicans.
It pains me to have to agree with you. You know me; I don't want to be agreeable when you call in, but if you say something that's factual, I'll have to concede. You're absolutely right, Mr. Ryan.
Thank you very much, Mr. Joseph. Goodbye.
I love when our listeners are polite, even amidst the political differences we may have. We still can be polite on the radio. My name is Mr. Joseph. What is your name? 607-772-1290. We're here for you every day from 9 to noon. Go ahead. Make that call. See if your phone works. Better yet, see if our phone works. You know you want to. Program is Binghamton Now, and you can stay connected with this program and everything else on this station using the free WNBF app. At 10:37. Yeah, let's take another call. Yeah, I think we're off to a decent start. Very good start to the week. Good morning, you're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Beverly from the town of Dickinson.
Yeah.
I got a question. Have you ever been to Ocean City job lots in Johnson City? It used to be the Toys for Us store.
Yeah, I was there once, but not since it opened. when they were getting set to open, I went inside. I'm looking it up now. So it's been over 3 years since I've been inside. They let me in there on May 19th, 2021, to look inside at the store before they opened it. But I've never been inside since it was opened. Have you been in there?
Yeah, I was in there on Saturday, and I got a shredder, and I like the store. One thing is nice about it is that the money that you spend in the store goes to an organization. They help the homeless, and they help other people in their lives.
Oh, that's a good idea. I wish every store would do that.
You know, that was, and I don't know, I liked it very much. And when I read the bottom of the receipt, it says our store is a donation to different organizations. I think that's pretty neat.
Yeah, I think every store should do that.
Yeah, they should. Over at the mental health on the 16th of August, they're having a golf tournament up at Enjoy Park.
Oh, really? Well, that's a good thing.
Huh?
That is a good thing.
I don't know what it is.
All right. I'm taking a look at my video now from about 3 years ago, so a little over 3 years ago when I was walking through the store, and yeah, they had lots and lots of stuff. They even had tiki torches.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they even have Zesta crackers. I'm walking down one of the aisles now. They have that spray you put on if you don't like getting mosquito bites.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they have
in there.
They have fly swatters. They have a jumbo telescopic fly swatter.
I got a zapper here.
All right. Yeah, they've got one of those too. It says some kind of bug light for patios, decks. You could send that one up to the Carpathian Hill. Post lights, garage fixtures, welcome lights. It's they have bug lights to keep the bugs away.
Yeah, it's a nice store. I liked it.
Yeah.
There wasn't very many people there, but it seemed that everyone that entered the store was friendly, and the workers are very nice.
Yeah, I'm looking through. They've got a food section.
Yep.
There's they have maple syrup.
Oh boy.
I can't see what the price is. I love it. It's real maple syrup. Walking down one of the aisles here, it's got, ramen noodles. They're always good in a pinch. And what else? They've got cookies. I see cookies. And then next to the cookies, they have tiki torches. That's interesting juxtaposition.
You know, I just found out on Saturday. I was sitting here and I was talking to a friend, and we were talking about golf courses.
Yeah.
And I said, let's look up. And Ely Park Golf Course is still here. Now when it first opened, we used to go up to the light line up here, and we'd go left, and we used to walk to Ely Park. My sister and I used to go.
Yeah.
And I just found out it's still there.
Oh, yeah.
Because I never hear anything about it.
No, it's there. And quite a few people still golf there, so maybe I'll go take a lesson. Appreciate your call.
Okay, bye.
10:43 at WNBF. Good morning. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Bob. This is DJ in Binghamton. How you doing?
I am well.
Well, for the first time in many, many years, I did not make it to the Speedy Fest, A, because it was hotter than a crack pipe on payday, and B, because it kept raining, and I didn't know if it was going to be worth going. So that was kind of unusual in my life and times.
Yeah.
What'd you do fun? Anything?
Yeah, I did. I'm not going to bore you with the details. I had fun. I had fun on Saturday and on Sunday.
Oh yeah, Saturday. Oh, what was going on Saturday? Oh hey, things are coming on this coming weekend. What's happening this coming weekend? Fairs, field days,
some kind of festival. I think they're having a festival.
Bazaars.
You know who you don't hear much about anymore is Uncle Cracker. Hopefully Uncle Cracker will be at the Speedy.
Oh, don't say that.
Uncle Cracker. I hope they invite Uncle Cracker to the Speedy party next year.
That's a racial slur. You can't say Cracker.
That's his name. That's his stage name. So it's used in that context. He calls himself, his given name is Matthew Schaefer, and his stage name is Uncle Cracker. So
that's like Big Daddy Weave. I don't like that name. But
well, I don't. There's a lot of names I don't like, but what can you do? What can you do? How if I just said I hope Matthew Schaefer is coming back to the Speedy party next year, people would be like, who? Who is Matthew Schaefer? But if you say Uncle Cracker, then everybody says, oh, yeah, I remember him.
I think Stephanie Germanotta is cute. Nobody knows who she is. That's Lady Gaga. A good-looking woman, older woman. Stephanie Germanotta, very Italian. Did you see the movie Gucci?
No.
When she was in that? Hey, yeah, there's another one coming out. The one from Gossip Girl. What is her name? That movie's coming out this weekend. The End for Us.
What, Lorraine Newman?
Not This Is the End.
Lorraine Newman from Gossip Girl.
No, the blonde. I can't remember. But anyway.
Oh, Sherilyn Fenn. Sherilyn Fenn. That's who you're.
No. And I'm not going to look it up. Hey, this is the hottest year on record ever, right? In the history of records.
Sure. It's too hot to handle.
Oh, well, what are you doing this afternoon? Who are you going to go interview, brother?
I'm not going to tell people. Why would I tell people who I'm going to interview this afternoon? So then everybody else will have the same story on the news tonight at 6. So, you tune in to Jim Emke, and then over at Fox 40, and then Action News, and then WSKG, and then Spectrum. Everybody has the same story. The best interest of the news-consuming public is that we all work to come up with different stories. That's because it used to be really competitive in the news business, but now, since there are so few reporters, now you just have to hope that every news organization on any given day will try to cover a few stories on their own, and then people can take advantage of all these different news organizations to get sort of a snapshot of a few things going on around here. So I do know one story I want to cover that hasn't been reported yet, but I certainly am not about to blurt it out on national radio.
I regretfully missed Avery Copeland from Around the Tears. She was at the did the cook-off. Hey, I thought of something. Check this out. If J.D. Vance has a son and he names him Ed, his name's going to be Ed Vance. What do you think of that one, Bobby? I should be a joke writer. I just come up with these things.
Well, then why don't you call Stephen Colbert, and he'll... I know a guy who used to work here.
Oh, I don't like him. Oh, my gosh, I despise him.
Well, that's why you could send in jokes to him, and then he could use your jokes, and so his humor would be a lot better. See, that's one way to rectify the problem.
He's too left. I was on the Jimmy Fallon show for my happy birthday, probably around 2015, something like that. I went on there in the audience, and Sofia Vergara was the guest that night. Some guy that won a Emmy Award or Academy Award or something. I don't remember his name. It was fun. Jimmy Fallon's cool.
Yeah, one of my favorite things was when a news story it was me, thanks to me, an exclusive news story, not an important news story, but as one might say, certainly a memorable news story that I reported first, and then other people picked up on it, and even went national because it was so odd. That news story wound up being the basis for a joke on the Jay Leno show. One night, back in the day when it was Letterman and Leno at night, I of course, having good taste, would always watch Letterman, but because I had a feeling that maybe Leno would do a joke about a news story I did, I had the good sense to play back a tape of NBC's Jay Leno show. Sure enough, he did a joke based on a story I reported from here in Broome County.
Oh, wow.
And you have to admit, that doesn't happen very often.
That is something, Bob.
It was something. Even now. It was a story so disturbing, even now. I'm afraid to talk about it on the radio. It's 10:49 at News Radio, WNBF. But stuff happens, and then, you go on. I think it's safe to say, without getting specific about that story, mistakes were made. It's safe to say mistakes were made. 10:50 at WNBF. Here's a story that I find interesting. The proliferation of the flock safety cameras. Of course, as you know, we've been covering the flock safety cameras being installed all across Binghamton. It's very difficult to go into any Binghamton neighborhood without encountering one or more of these automated license plate readers, so they know where you are at any given time in case you ever forget. Could you tell me, please, where I was at about 9 o'clock Friday night? Hold on, Bob. Well, as it turns out, you were at the corner of Court and State near the radio station. All right, that's what I thought. Thanks. So the interesting thing to me is now Binghamton University is starting to enjoy the safety and comfort of these flock safety cameras, not just on their own campus in Vestal, but now they're putting them out on the streets of Binghamton and Johnson City. So if you're near the arena on Washington Street, driving your little car, probably your license plate will be captured by the Binghamton University flock safety automated license plate reader. So you'll be in their system for some reason. Well, as people would say, well, yeah, because that's where the University Downtown Center is, across the street from the arena, which is true, but I'm not really clear on why they're collecting license plate data from people who drive by, but they will not answer questions, in case you were wondering. And a couple of those plate readers also have popped up in Johnson City, one on Corliss Avenue and one on Willow Street, that I've seen. I mean, who knows? They won't release the locations of all their plate readers. So, but anyway, it's reassuring to know that Binghamton University now is collecting license plate information. Your plate information is now part of the database. If you drive by those flock safety cameras that have been installed under a contract that the well-respected company has with Binghamton University. They talk about transparency. The company does. Flock safety. Transparency. And then when you ask questions, nobody will answer specific questions. Well. 10:52 WNBF. Good morning. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Oh, I'm so glad I got in. I thought my number was blocked. This is Jeff in Owego.
Yeah, what's up?
Oh, in my opinion, the people that trade their liberty for security usually value the war.
We have really bad signal. I think your phone just cut out. It was bad at the beginning. Now we can't hear you at all. Quick, dial back in at a better location. So your number's not blocked, but you have to, I think you're dialing from a bad location. That's the difficulty with modern technology. It's great when it works, and then when it doesn't work, we get calls that are dropped. It's 10:53 at WNBF. So, but yeah, to the point of your liberty, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, there's nothing apparently in the Constitution that pertains to private businesses tracking you. So flock safety is in the business. First of all, they're not in the business necessarily of tracking you. They're in the business of making lots of money. So that's why flock safety now has thousands and thousands and thousands of plate readers all across the fruited plains and here in Broome County. Who knows? I've lost track. One thing that will happen when you start looking for these flock safety license plate readers, made in Vietnam, by the way, not made in America, not even made in China, made in Vietnam, Vietnamese-made license plate readers to get your information. Once you start looking for them, whether it's in Binghamton, Johnson City, or Vestal, suddenly you say, goodness, they're everywhere. They're everywhere. It's 10:55 WNBF. Good morning. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Thank you. It's Jeff again.
Thank you.
You know, I was driving and using my cell phone, so I hit a dead spot. Anyway, yeah, this, I don't know if you caught that, but they're really having a fun time, like in the UK, with all their where they monitor for how you're driving and all of that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of guys with like carburetor saws, and they're cutting down the poles and painting over the readers and stuff. Just not interested in it, you know.
Yeah, it's a semi-organized bit of opposition.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. I mean, it's not. I mean, to be fair, it's not sanctioned. Just so people know, it's not sanctioned by the UK government. The government isn't happy, but then again, every once in a while, you know, even if the government's unhappy, sometimes people will vent their frustration if the government is spying on them.
Right. Also, I was really interested in hearing when John was calling earlier this morning. I really appreciate EMS, law enforcement, and the firefighters. You know, they do a very special job. However, we're getting ourselves into a situation, and it's very evident. All you have to do is just turn on YouTube and look at some of the channels. We've got a lot of police officers that their initial reaction is, I know what my orders are here in town. And, for example, you know, when they get pulled over, very rarely do they want to. It's always, I'll tell you what I'm pulling you over for after you. It's always a deal. It's always a deal. After.
Oh, you know, the other thing that they like to do, and some people don't understand, you're not compelled to answer this, but say, they like saying, oh, where are you going to? Or where are you coming from? It's like one time I was coming back from dinner, and a 2-officer unit, so you know I was in a high-crime area of Binghamton, a 2-officer unit pulled my vehicle over because they noticed that my left brake light. Yeah, left brake light was out, so helpfully they pulled me over. And then because I didn't live in this high-crime neighborhood, they were casting aspersions about why I was there. And I told them, I'm a reporter. I observe. And it was interesting because most 2-officer units in Binghamton, at least one of those officers would have recognized me and say, oh, Bob Joseph, are you out reporting? But these 2 younger police officers didn't know me. And so I was, you know, I have no reason to be nervous, except it's just like human nature when you get pulled over and it's like, oh no, are they going to find, you know, so 5 pounds of cocaine in the trunk or whatever?
Right. I had a police officer tell me, we ask you that because I'm looking to see if your stories line up and if I have suspicion. And really what a lot of this police I call them civilians, it's not the word the citizens, see how we're sliding into their special and we're not in some cases. Again, I appreciate police officers' fine duty. However, the constitutionality of some of the things they do, and he told me, he says, I'm looking to see if I have suspicion to go further now that I have you stopped, because I'm going to look bad if I'm not doing anything. And I do want to fight crime. I want to fight crime and maybe rescue somebody who needs to be rescued or whatever. That's all fine. But we've got a tremendous volume of police officers who do not approach the situation from the standpoint of, my duty is to the Constitution and to the rights of the individual.
Right. Well, it's a tough...
That is my duty.
Let's face it, it's a tough job on the one hand, and believe me, in that neighborhood where I was in, I was glad that there was a marked police unit with 2 officers, because that is the type of neighborhood where at any given time, crime could break out, and I could be in desperate need of 2 or more officers. So I was pleased that they were there, but I felt like I was under suspicion just because I was in a neighborhood that was not near my home. But, they're doing their job. And, oh, by the way, then I got a fix-it ticket, and I went to, the next morning, even though it was a Sunday, went to an auto parts store, picked up a bulb, put it in, and then I went to Endicott Police on Monday morning, and, I got a fix-it ticket, so it was taken care of. So everybody was happy. Thank you, Jeff. Yeah, it was good. I didn't know my brake light wasn't working, so they did me a favor. It's 11 o'clock, more coming up right here. 607-772-1290. Everyone is welcome to our radio party. Good morning, you're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, I'm Gary from the south side of Binghamton.
Morning.
Good morning. I'd like to talk a little bit about the child tax care credit and the Republican Party, if I may. I remember looking back, I remember the Republican Party being the party of family values. That was during Bush. Then we came up with a compassionate conservatism. Now we got pro-family of Trump. Now, last Thursday, there was the tax bill came up. It was voted on legislation to continue the child tax care credit. And that child tax care credit is endorsed by 69% of Americans support it, 80% of Democrats, and 59% of Republicans. Now, this tax care credit would have gone to 16 million children, and it's a $700 would it be this year tax relief this year, and it would have lifted 500,000 children above the property line. Now, this bill also included tax cuts for businesses as well as investment tax cuts that the Republicans have long sought after. And J.D. Vance didn't show up for the vote.
What?
Yeah, he didn't show up for the vote. And here's a man that talks about pro-family, but yeah, and even with these other attachments to it, which the Republicans seriously wanted, he didn't show up for the vote, and so it failed. And the reason it failed is because Kamala Harris and Joe Biden would have got credit for it.
Oh, I don't think they would be. Oh, that's petty.
Well, why would
come on, Gary?
Bill?
That's petty.
Oh, thank you very much. That's exactly what I was trying to relate to you. So I'm glad you interpreted it that way.
All right, but I would gladly speak with J.D. Vance, if that's his name today, to try to get his specific reason for his behavior. I don't. Again, my first impression, based on what you described, was it was petty. But, Gary, I'm an open-minded radio host, unlike the rest. So I am willing, if J.D. Vance calls in the next 12 minutes, I will let him on the air and explain. I'll give him 90 seconds of uninterrupted airtime to explain why he did that.
Why he didn't show up for the...
yes.
Why did they shoot it down? And we were talking,
yes.
you know...
These are questions. These are the disturbing questions that must be addressed.
So are we pro-family or aren't we pro-family? I don't quite understand. You know, it's only $700, you know, per family. You know, but we can give out billions. We got tax breaks for billionaires, though.
So $700 per family. If you do that math, yeah, that's enough to buy about 100. No, to buy about 50 Big Macs.
Yeah. Well, I just
all right.
wanted to point out the hypocrisy. And
all right. Well,
thank you for listening.
Thanks for calling in. Again, J.D. Vance. Call now 607-772-1290. I will give you 90 seconds of uninterrupted airtime to explain why you didn't show up. It's 11:15 at WNBF on a Monday morning. Let's continue our conversation. Morning, you're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning. My name is Valerie, and I am from Endwell. And, Bob, I just got to tell you, my faith in humanity has been restored. I was just at the grocery store on Hooper Road. I won't mention the name because I don't know if we're allowed. But in coming out and walking to my car, and I also have to use handicap parking, just so you know, so I was struggling myself, but not bad. I had a cart to use. But there was a much more elderly lady trying to make her way across the parking lot to the store. She was very much struggling, and there was a young boy out there getting shopping carts. He happened to just look her way, and he took a double take. He quickly went to her and took her arm and walked her to the store so gently and got her a cart to use and went inside with her. I sat there and bawled. And then I called the store to tell them what I had just witnessed and how wonderful it is to know that they've got some employees in that store who really care and are aware of their surroundings when it comes to their customers. They said his name was Ian and that he is like that all the time. And I just wanted to speak out for him.
Thank you.
Yes.
Well, and thanks to Ian and to those like him, because maybe not every day, but over the course of a week, I do see situations similar to that. Maybe not identical, but similar situations where people go above and beyond what they need to do.
Absolutely.
And nobody asked them, and they're just observant. They see someone who really needs some help. It could be something like what you witnessed this morning on Hooper Road in Endwell, or other things. I do see it, and the good thing about those gestures is they happen quite frequently. The bad thing is they don't get much attention. They certainly aren't going to be in the top story on tonight's Action News.
It seems that most people would like to speak out about something ugly that they have seen happen. But this was really a beautiful thing. And you could see the boy, as soon as he saw her, nothing else mattered to him but was to go to her. And I don't really go too many places, so I don't get to see as much as you do. But I just wanted to speak out about if more people, if we could show that much kindness towards each other and don't look the other way, I really think sometimes we are our brothers and sisters' keepers.
Thank you.
And thank you for letting me talk.
Thank you, Valerie. That's probably going to be considered the most important call of the week. Knowing certainly that Ian didn't do what he did this morning to be put in the spotlight or praised. He did what he did because it was the right thing to do. And I commend him, thank the store for employing people like him. And I see, whether it's that store or other stores around here, it's actually impressive. There are some really, really, really good, caring people working in stores and other businesses around here. And they don't get the attention that they might deserve. And they don't do it for the attention anyway. But, just when you think, because of all the bad news, the nonstop drumbeat of bad news around here and around the world, that there's no hope, then you see something like that. So, thanks to Ian, thanks to the store, and special thanks to Valerie for sharing what she spotted. It's 11:19 at WNBF. Good morning. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, good morning, Bob. This is Vinny from Binghamton. You had a caller a little while ago talking about January 6th and tapes being released and how the Democrats and this and that. And, I just wanted to remind listeners that if you remember in September, before that January 6th, there was the last debate between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. And Chris Wallace, who was a moderator, asked Donald Trump, are you going to denounce these white separatists and these militia groups? And he kept talking and he goes, no. Are you going to, Mr. Donald Trump, are you going to denounce these people? And he goes, well, who? Name somebody. And Joe Biden interjected and said, the Proud Boys. And he said, the Proud Boys? Just stand back and stand by. 3 months later, January 6th happened. And as we talk today, 5 Proud Boys have gone to jail. Henry Torrio has got 22 years. Ethan Nordine, 18 years. Joseph Baggs, 17 years. This guy was an Army vet. He was an Army vet. And when they caught him, he was crying like you wouldn't believe. And you can see all this on YouTube. Look it up. Zachary Reel, he got 15 years. Dominic Pizzola, 10 years this guy got. 10 years. And then you'll love this one, Bob. Evan Newman, he's another one the FBI is looking for. He took those dividers, those metal things, and he was using it as a battering ram against those 140 cops that were down there trying to defend those congressmen and people. Do you know where this guy is? He took off. Right now, he is an illegal alien in Belarus. He's an alien. He got in there illegally. They took him in. And he's over there now. These so-called guys. So he's an illegal, probably one of the people that talks about these illegals coming into this country and killing people and look at him now.
I know.
He's one.
Hold on. I looked this up online, and thanks to Twitter for having someone who posted this really short clip that you were talking about. And apparently the clip is from the well-respected news organization called CNBC. I mean, everybody saw it. Millions and millions of people saw it. Listen to this, just for people who don't know what you were referencing.
Proud Boys, stand back and stand by.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's not AI. I mean,
nope.
Sounds like it ought to be AI, but the truth is, it really happened on live TV.
Proud Boys, stand back and stand by.
I mean, come on, man.
Yep.
And who knows what he's going to say at the debate, assuming he'll have a debate. Remember, this is the guy who said anytime, anywhere. Now he's trying to duck a debate with the Democrats' presidential nominee because did you hear where he wants it? He wants it to be like in some beer hall or some place where a bunch of drunken supporters are in the audience instead of in a TV studio so everybody could focus on the questions and answers. He wants it to be on the Fox channel, not on ABC, even though he agreed to a debate with ABC. And now he wants it on the Fox, and he wants there to be an audience so a bunch of drunken supporters can disrupt it.
Yep. I think it was a comedian. I forgot his name. Jon Stewart. Is that his name? Jon Stewart. He goes. He seems like he doesn't even care. He's just going through the motions.
He doesn't care. He doesn't care. And some people have said, and you know who those people are. He might even drop out. The only reason some people say he's staying in is because he wants to be able to pardon himself, pardon family members and associates, and also pardon people who were convicted of the January 6th related crimes. That's the only reason he stays in. Otherwise, I mean, he doesn't seem to have a real interest in being president.
Can't talk about any major issues, nothing. He's just up there talking, this and that, and did you see the way her earrings didn't even match what she was wearing? I mean, anything stupid.
Well, anything to distract from real issues. It seems to me that instead of being the commander-in-chief, he wants to be the entertainer-in-chief.
It is. It's sad. It's sad.
We don't need that brand of entertainment. Maybe that brand of entertainment was worthy of NBC back in the day. The American people have moved on.
Yeah, that's it. And Bob, I wanted to say too, they for that also, if you remember, during January 6th, the night before, they're still looking for that guy. They're still offering $500,000 to that guy that put a pipe bomb in front of the Republican headquarters and the Democratic headquarters. They're looking for that guy still. And I'm telling you, this thing opened up a floodgate. But you know what's so sad? You think you see Lester Holt interview Donald Trump and about the words that he used, like he went after Joe Biden? Do you think that Target thing was? Because I did this in a phone call. I was like, well, I know, but don't you think that led to? Oh my God, man! I just don't get it. These news people and how they miss this stuff all the time. We got 5 guys from the Proud Boys that are in jail. 18 that we got 10 years to 22 years in jail for that. And what was me? No, that was you. That was you down there talking. Tape after tape. They've got all these tapes on these guys. And, we got to get rid of this. We got to get to the polls, get these people out of here. Go on overseas, go to Russia, go any place you want. We're just tired. This country's got to move on.
All right. Well, appreciate your sharing your opinion. Let's see what other viewers have to say. Oh, we had a couple of lines ringing, and then they apparently their number came up at the drive-thru. So, all right, your small frothy is ready now, along with your extra large fry. That's what happens. Because it's almost lunchtime, so people are calling in at the drive-thru window while they're waiting for their order to be filled. And then when it's their turn and they get their small frothy and then their extra large fries, then they have to hang up because they don't want their frothy to evaporate. Good morning, you're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Bob, it's Rob in Fort Crane.
Hey, man, what's up?
Well, I was just watching the news the other day because I was watching them all just to see what they were saying about Venezuela. And it's funny because here's 2 elections, right? The one in Mexico first, the 85% Catholic country. They elected in a landslide a Jewish lesbian woman. Go figure, right? And here in Venezuela, they just elected this character over again who's sending all those illegals here, all the criminals and nuts. And they're saying that he lost. The elections weren't right. Well, if they're using the Smartmatic machines based in Venezuela, our elections couldn't have been tampered with at all, huh? Back in 20.
Well, I don't even want to talk about Smartmatic. That's the third rail of American media.
What do you mean the third rail of our media?
Well, I'm not going to talk about Smartmatic on this program. You can, if you want to talk about Smartmatic, call up Fox News. If anybody is going to talk about Smartmatic, I think it should be Fox News, not WNBF.
Yeah, because you're afraid of the truth there.
Well, no, I'm afraid of Smartmatic. They're known to be a litigious company, so there's absolutely nothing to be gained by putting anything on this program about Smartmatic.
Well, that just has to do with a lack of, just cowardice. Really.
No, it's a lack of money. You know how much it costs to hire attorneys, Rob?
Oh, yeah.
Well, attorneys aren't cheap. Fox News has all the money, so they can afford to spend millions and billions of dollars dealing with companies that get mad at them. And if, in some cases, like they had to settle in that one lawsuit for $787 million. I mean, they've got the money. They can settle. So they have no fear because they're America's boldest news channel.
Yeah, it's a terrible thing when the big companies like that have control of the truth.
Well, it's not so much control of the truth, it's control of money. As you know, I don't need to tell you, money controls everything. So if it wasn't about the money, we could talk about that company and every other company. But some outfits like Fox News and Newsmax are learning the hard way that you need to tread very, very, very carefully around some companies.
Well, I did want to say, too, that story about that Ian helping the elderly woman into the store, that's a wonderful thing, and it's a shame that Vinny had to go just throw the whole show in the toilet right after that, you know? But let's talk about something else.
Oh, don't be so critical. Ian is great, Vinny is great, you're great. You know, one call does not establish the overall tenor of the program. One call doesn't make or break this program. So it was a great call from Valerie about what Ian did in Endwell, but just because Vinny was on for about 5.5 minutes didn't mean suddenly what already is a compelling program is bad.
It's always the same thing.
But some people would say that about you too. So let's just respect each other and say, let's allow those who call talk about stuff, especially if it has nothing to do with Smartmatic, and talk about stuff that isn't going to get us into litigation.
Okay, well, that was good because I'm the one that brought up on your show, which is now common. They're talking about it everywhere. The number of excess deaths from the COVID shots. All around the world, 20% more people die than usual. Ever since the shots were rolled out, Bob, the media is actually having to talk about it. They talked about it on 60 Minutes about a month ago. Unbelievable. And you heard it here first. Got to say it. You did. You heard it here first because it's still going on. And everybody's reporting on it now. And they just came out with new statistics from Canada again, showing that the shots not only are ineffective, they're harmful. They actually came out and said they're harmful, but they're still pushing them constantly here in the U.S. and a lot of other places. I believe it's population reduction, and I always have.
Well, it's not working.
Kill everybody else.
Well, it's not working. Population reduction. The U.S. population today is a lot higher than it was pre-COVID. So if they wanted to reduce population, maybe it's working in Japan. Last I knew, the Japanese population was actually trending modestly downward, but in terms of population reduction, apparently there are other factors at work in the U.S. because the population keeps increasing.
The illegals are the increase in our population, Bob. It's not like we're having more babies, right?
Some people are. Well, some people are. I don't know. It's too complicated for me to follow. Anyway, appreciate your call. As always, 11:32 at WNBF. Good morning. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Bill in Pineville.
Bill in Benegal?
No, Pineville, North Carolina.
Oh, that's right. What's going on in Pineville?
Nothing much. I'm just kind of, like when you have the local leaders, like the county executive, Mayor of Binghamton, I kind of wish you'd question them about the illegals in the area.
Specifically. So next time Mayor Cram is on, specifically, what question should I ask Jared Cram?
Well, how many illegals are in the area and what crimes are they committing?
How does he know? He doesn't take a census of how many people are in Binghamton who may not be in the U.S. legally. How would Jared Cram know?
How do you know what he knows? You don't know whether he knows that or not.
Oh, I'm pretty sure he doesn't. But having said that, maybe the next time I'm on, I'll ask him. But I predict he'll say, Bob, I don't know. I have no way of knowing how many people are in the city of Binghamton now who are not legally in the United States. I mean, I personally think I know of one person who's in Binghamton illegally, but what am I supposed to do?
Well, I mean, you can, when these local leaders call up and they're you're talking to them.
And it's apropos of what? So if Jared Cram says, yeah, I just happened to get the printout before I came to the studio, and there are 612 people in Binghamton now illegally. And the city police believe in the last 4 weeks they are responsible for 37 larcenies and 1 assault. And then what?
Well, then the public will know.
Well, okay. Like I say, I doubt he knows. I don't know how he would know. It's fascinating. It fascinates me, Bill, that you think Mayor Cram or any mayor in upstate New York would know how many people are in their community illegally. I'd like to know. Tell me how you think they know.
Well, I don't know. What it's part of their job to know what's happening in the city.
Exactly, but how would they know? How would they know? Thanks to because they're putting up more automated license plate readers? Well, that's not going to help. What if they're driving on bikes or electric scooters? I mean, to me, and just help me out. How would any mayor in Broome or Tioga County know how many people are in their community illegally?
Talking to the people that they have working underneath them.
They don't know. Trust me, the police chief doesn't know, the assistant police chief, the men and women who are out there every day. What they do know is there are some people they encounter that they do know are in the U.S. illegally. And so?
About Ashley Biden. Okay.
What? Ashley Biden's not in Binghamton, and even if she was, it'd be legal for her to be here.
No, maybe the Kathleen Camel could have her as a running.
I don't know. It sounds like we have a really bad connection between Binghamton and Pineville. Because at first it started to make some sense, even though I didn't understand how you could possibly expect a mayor or police chief to know how many people in a community are actually here in the United States illegally. And then something about Ashley Biden, who I don't think she's going to be living in Binghamton. But if she does want to come to Binghamton, it's a great city. I recommend it to everyone. Morning, WNBF. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Gary on the west side. Bob, good morning to you. Hey, I wonder if there were statistics that said that 40 to 45% of the homicides in the United States were committed by illegal aliens. I mean, people would go crazy, and we got to stop that. Let's get on that right away. This is ridiculous. We got to close the border. But what about if 40 to 45% of homicides involve alcohol? Does that same person want to stop alcohol sales because that's a major influencer in homicides in the United States? No, I don't think they would. I just think they want to pass their agenda on that illegal immigrants committing crimes. But there's this fact that you could look up, go look it up on Google, whatever, wherever you look things up. Alcohol is a major contributor in crimes, domestic crimes, all of these. There's no outcry to get rid of alcohol, but yet there would be a big outcry to get rid of illegal immigrants.
Sure.
I don't know.
That's their agenda. It's their agenda. And if you provide information that most of the violent crimes committed here in Broome County are committed by Broome County residents who have lived here, we'll say, for at least a year, in most cases lived here for 5 or 10 years or longer, that wouldn't help their agenda. It's not illegal immigrants who are coming to Broome County and committing all the violent crimes, fatally shooting people and fatally stabbing people and stealing all our stuff. It's mainly the people who've been here for quite a while?
There was a caller that called in a while ago, and they said something along the lines of, I wonder how many illegal immigrants commit these mass shootings in the United States, right? And they were going on and on about how that's an issue, right? And that should be stopped. And yet a week later, there was a man from Broome County that went and killed all of these people in Buffalo.
Yeah, nobody ever said how many Susquehanna Valley High School graduates go on homicidal rampages. I never heard that question.
Yeah, I know.
And nor should you, but again, it's apropos to the other questions that sometimes are posed by people who are, they have an agenda. There are people they don't like, and they'll resort to whatever talking points that they can utilize. Appreciate your call.
Okay.
1140 at WNBF. Yeah, change the topic if you want. All of our problems in Broome County, all of the problems, or most of the problems in the Triple Cities right now, must be the fault of people who are here illegally. No, actually, that's not true, but there are some viewers who think that. 607-772-1290. More calls coming up on Binghamton Now. Returning to the phones, Martin in Binghamton. You're on the air.
Hey, yeah. Last night I was watching the great documentary CNN put out, 5-part series on 1968, probably one of the most relevant years of the last century, our history forever. But part 4, they were doing the election with George Wallace, Hubert Humphrey, and Nixon, and it was election night. But also, that was the one, too, where you just briefly said last week, that was the one where Dan Rather got roughed up pretty good there in Chicago, So then fast forward later to election night, the results are coming in, and they're spread all over. And it was Huntley and Brinkley were on, and they were talking. David Brinkley says, well, look at this. Thanks to this arcane electoral system that we have here, what if nobody gets the amount of votes? What are we going to do? How are we going to separate this? And Brinkley says, it'll take about 4 years. I mean, look, isn't it about time we got rid of this archaic method? I mean, now that was 56 years ago, but it didn't play out like that, but it could have, but the point is that, we still have it, and they were talking about it being arcane 56 years ago. But who has benefited in many of those elections? Who doesn't want it changed?
There you go. There's no political will to make the changes necessary. Unfortunately, I mean, whether it's with the electoral process in this country or the Supreme Court, there's no political will to make changes. So for people who are unhappy with certain things, say the Electoral College, or if you're unhappy with the Supreme Court, or you're unhappy with the interstate highway system, or whatever, get used to it because there's no political will to make changes. So, it's a good country, imperfect though it may be, and I'm not saying we can't make some changes, but certain things will not be changed in our lifetime, so we have to make our peace with it and focus on things that actually can be changed.
Yeah, well, the will of the people.
Yeah, well, the people, say if in this country, if it really was the rule of the people and major issues could be decided by the people, then some big changes would happen. But let's face it, the way we've got it set up, some states like, Wyoming or South Dakota have, certainly in the Senate, they have equal power as great states like New York and California. So, hey, it's the way the country was set up. So, you know me, I'm not going to complain.
I understand the basic premise to,
Yeah, no, I understand. I understand why it's the way it is. So I'm not gonna lose sleep over it. I'm just saying that for certain things that people might like to see changed, including, say, the Electoral College, let's just say will never change. Should be changed, won't be changed. Appreciate your call. Thank you, Martin. Selena in Binghamton, you're on the air.
Good morning, Bob. Excellent bumper music. I love it.
Good stuff.
Yeah, it's real good stuff. You mentioned change the subject thing. Sorry to be a bearer of bad news, but we could get our butts kicked later. I think the weather machine is broken again.
Yeah, it's looking ahead later this week. If you don't have a couple of arcs right now, you'd better get them.
I got to build one.
Yeah, because little Debbie is going to cause big problems, I'm afraid.
Yeah, she just hit Florida.
Yeah,
and she's going to stall out and go up the East Coast,
gain
right?
power. And then, dump.
Then it's good.
Some areas could probably wind up with 40 or 50 inches of rain.
Up here, we're going to get really wet by next Monday.
Oh, yeah. It'll be they could call it, on the New York Post, they could call it super soaker. See what I'm saying?
Well, there's a cold front coming in for us, right?
Yep.
And remnants of Debbie's going to ride along that trough, right?
It's going to feel just like September of 2011. It's like
I hope it isn't that bad.
Well, I hope it's not worse.
I hope you have a great week and stay safe, okay?
Okay, you too, Selena. Thank you.
I love you. Bye.
11:48 at WNBF. Yeah, don't worry about the weather. Nothing you can do about it. 607-772-1290. This is Bob Joseph, Monday morning with Binghamton Now. WNBF Live, setting up perimeters as needed to preserve the integrity of the investigation. Alan in Binghamton, you're on the air.
Yes. Where did the shoe repair store go from the Binghamton Plaza?
I don't know.
So in other words, they've lost another store, another business.
Oh, they're not there?
No.
Okay.
And there's no sign on the door with an address, we've moved to.
Huh. I don't know, but I'll find out.
Okay, then. Thank you.
All right. Thanks. 11:51 at WNBF. Paul in Owego, you're on the air.
Hey, Bob. I guess we're due for a little stormy weather, and I don't know. I've got a banner coming for the village of Owego. It's going to say Lake Street Extension. I'm going to park one of my vehicles over on my daughter's property, and maybe they'll come up with some tadpoles or something. It's a lot of money with the DRI money with some goofy contractors that have gotten this thing all messed up. And I'm telling you right now, it's a disgrace. They've destroyed that parking lot. Is absolutely the one part of the one over by AutoZone. That property over there is half the spaces are there, and it just doesn't even seem to make any sense. You got these contractors that are working, and there's nobody keeping score. What's going on with this DRI thing? I thought Kathy Hochul had a handle over it.
Yeah, she does. She has her people. She appoints specific people to keep track of everything. So that shouldn't be a problem, but I'll see what I can find out, okay?
Yeah, that's good, Bob.
Okay.
Have a great afternoon. I hope hope you make it home okay and safe with all these trees going to be blowing over.
Yeah. Well, hopefully I don't have to stay here at the station. That would be bad. Hi, 11:53 at WNBF. Good morning. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Sorry, it's John from the Bennington Plaza. The shoe store is still here, but it's closed Mondays.
Okay.
Sunday and Monday.
Oh,
all right.
Oh, thank you. So, I mean, as far as you know, they're not planning to go anywhere anytime soon.
No, we have several months, we hope, but we're trying to take other steps to try to keep hold of the plaza. But really now I'm not at liberty to speak about it. The lawyers told me not to speak about it. So.
All right, but just between you and me and the people on the air, what's really going on?
We're really trying to keep it, but we got to have, we got to take a lot of legal action.
Yeah, okay.
It's a legal way to get it.
So I respect that you, because of this is a legal issue, and certainly the owners of the Binghamton Plaza and also the city of Binghamton are not going to argue this kind of legal case on the air. But I believe the last time that Mayor Cram was on the program, I think he said that the 30-day period that the owners of the plaza had to appeal the previous court ruling that had expired. But it sounds to me, at least for now, that don't count the owners of the Binghamton Plaza out of the picture, that they haven't given up the fight.
Right. We had to, approach it in a different way because it's very hard to appeal a decision like that. Do I say lawyers should have come up from the Binghamton Plaza? Yes. I think the lawyers should have went there, in my opinion.
Right.
But they said they have to approach this in a complete different way.
Well, it is a somewhat unusual case. I mean, I'm not saying it's unique. I'm sure there have been some similar cases like this previously in New York State, but it's very unusual here in Binghamton.
Right. Do you think the city, we don't even know that there hasn't even been an appraiser? The city sent appraisers here, but their appraisal hasn't been complete. So how does the city know? What if the city has to pay $30 million for this place? They're saying even more. You never know, right? Is the city going to be able to come up with that kind of money?
So where do things stand now with businesses? You already established our friends with the leather repair shop who've been there for well over half a century are still in business. And of course, the very popular pizza place, I imagine they're open right now for lunch.
Correct. Everybody's still here. Everybody's keeping their fingers crossed. There's something that'll happen. But I have people that want to rent places all the time. I mean, it seemed to pick up for people wanting to rent areas here. Our parking lot is terrible. It needs a facelift. And with the inside, you've been inside some of these buildings. They're not that awful bad. I mean, we still have the gym here. Everything that was here before is still here. But like we had a Chinese restaurant takeout wanted to come here. They wanted the old Tommy's, but they want or the old Radio Shack. They wanted a 5-year lease. Had a dog groomer wants to come, but she wants a couple-year lease. She says they can't spend that kind of money until they know what's going to happen with the city. I mean, there's 62 people that are here full time. The daycare. The pizza shop alone employs 30-some people. The daycare employs, I believe, 12. And then we got all the little stores that has, it adds up to like 60-some people overall. All the stores still here.
And that probably comes as a surprise to some people who drive by and think, oh, there's not that much going on. And certainly, say, compared to 20 or 30 years ago, that's true. There's not that much going on, but there's still business activity.
Mm-hmm. And we had, you've seen the golf carts there. We had the golf carts.
Yep.
We can't make that determination. Can we have them here again this year? Because we don't know what the city's going to do.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of things. I wish the press or somebody, because you can't do a story on the news. I mean, they talk to you a little bit longer than on the news. I definitely gonna let you know at first.
Yeah. Hey, I got to run. We're out of time, but keep me posted.
Great.
That's the story from Binghamton Plaza. That's our program for today. Thank you so much for listening. I'll be back tomorrow on WNBF.